Ever wondered how Starbucks coffee transforms from a humble coffee bean into the rich, aromatic brew we all love? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of coffee production. From the farms where the beans are grown, to the roasting process that brings out those complex flavors, and finally to the cup in your hand, there's a lot more going on than you might think. The journey of making a cup of Starbucks coffee begins long before you order it at the counter. It all starts with one of the most important elements in the process, the coffee bean. The beans used for the coffee are sourced from some of the best coffee-growing regions in the world. These regions are chosen for their ideal growing conditions, such as climate, altitude, and soil quality. The beans that thrive here are known for their rich flavors and complexity, making them the perfect choice for the brew. The coffee cherries, which are the raw material, are hand-picked at peak ripeness to ensure they carry the most flavor. Each cherry contains 2 coffee beans, and it's these beans that will eventually make their way into your cup. But first, the cherries undergo a rigorous selection process to ensure only the best are used. When the coffee cherries arrive at the processing facility, they go through an initial inspection. This step is crucial for maintaining the quality of the final product. Workers carefully sort through the cherries, removing any that are overripe, underripe, or damaged. Only the healthiest cherries move forward in the process. This is the first step in ensuring that every batch of coffee starts with a solid foundation of quality beans. Once the cherries have passed inspection, the next step is to extract the beans. This process begins by removing the outer pulp of the cherries, leaving behind the beans encased in a thin parchment layer. There are 2 primary methods for doing this, the dry process and the wet process. In the dry process, the cherries are spread out on large drying beds under the sun. They are turned regularly to ensure even drying. This method allows the beans to develop a fruity and complex flavor as they dry slowly over several weeks. On the other hand, the wet process involves washing the cherries with water, removing the pulp more quickly, and leaving the beans to ferment for a short period. This method produces a cleaner and brighter flavor in the final coffee. Once the beans are fully dried, they still need to be hulled to remove the parchment layer. This step is crucial for preparing the beans for the next stages of their journey. After hulling, the beans, now called green coffee beans, undergo another round of inspection. Quality control teams sort the beans by size, color, and density to ensure that only the highest quality beans make it to the roasting stage. The roasting process is where the magic happens. This is where the green coffee beans are transformed into the aromatic, flavorful beans we recognize as coffee. The beans are placed in large rotating drums and heated to temperatures between 240 and 275 degrees Celsius. Roasting times vary depending on the desired flavor profile, but typically range between 10 and 15 minutes. As the beans roast, they undergo a series of chemical reactions known as the Maillard reaction, which is responsible for the development of the coffee's complex flavors. The beans start to darken, moving from green to a deep, rich brown. During this process, the beans also expand, almost doubling in size, and develop the oils that give coffee its distinct aroma. Roasters carefully monitor the beans throughout this process, making adjustments as needed to ensure consistency and flavor. This is where years of experience come into play, as each roast needs to bring out the specific characteristics of the beans without burning them or losing the delicate flavors hidden within. Once the beans have reached the desired roast level, they are quickly cooled to stop the roasting process. The roasted beans are then transferred to a cooling tray where large fans blow cool air over them, bringing them down to room temperature. This step is important because it locks in the flavors that have developed during roasting and prevents the beans from over-roasting. Now that the beans are roasted, they need to be ground. The grinding process is essential for unlocking the full potential of the coffee's flavors. The grind size is determined by the brewing method that will be used later. For example, espresso requires a very fine grind, while French press coffee uses a coarser grind. The beans are ground in industrial grinders that can process large quantities of coffee at a time. These grinders are designed to produce a consistent grind size, which is important for ensuring even extraction during brewing. Inconsistent grind sizes can lead to uneven brewing, which can result in a bitter or weak cup of coffee. Once ground, the coffee is immediately packaged to preserve its freshness. Coffee begins to lose its flavor as soon as it is exposed to air, so packaging is a critical step in maintaining quality. The coffee is typically vacuum sealed or packed with nitrogen to keep out oxygen and moisture. These sealed packages ensure that the coffee stays fresh until it is brewed. Now that the beans have been roasted, ground, and packaged, they are ready to be brewed. This is the final step in the journey from bean to cup. At the store, baristas use a variety of brewing methods depending on the type of coffee being served. One of the most common brewing methods is the espresso machine, which forces hot water through finely ground coffee under high pressure. This creates a concentrated shot of coffee with a rich, creamy texture. The key to a perfect espresso is in the balance of pressure, water temperature, and grind size, all of which must be carefully controlled to extract the best flavors from the coffee. For drip coffee, a more traditional brewing method, the ground coffee is placed in a filter, and hot water is poured over it, slowly dripping through the grounds and into a pot below. This method produces a larger volume of coffee and allows the water to extract flavors more gently than with espresso. The grind size for drip coffee is typically coarser than for espresso, which helps to prevent over-extraction and bitterness. No matter the brewing method, the goal is always the same: to bring out the best in the coffee beans. The water used is also carefully monitored, as impurities in the water can affect the taste of the coffee. Many coffee shops use filtered water to ensure that the flavors of the beans shine through without interference. After brewing, the coffee is served fresh, whether as a simple black coffee, an espresso, or in a more elaborate drink like a latte or cappuccino. Milk is often added, which can be steamed to create a creamy texture. The temperature of the milk is important, as overheating it can burn the milk, while underheating it can result in a flat taste. Quality control doesn't end after the coffee is brewed. Baristas constantly check the taste and temperature of the coffee they serve to ensure consistency. Every cup should meet the same high standards, regardless of whether it's a simple black coffee or an intricate specialty drink. It's fascinating to think that something as simple as a cup of coffee involves so many complex steps and skilled hands. From the careful selection of the beans to the roasting, grinding, and brewing processes, each stage plays a crucial role in bringing out the best flavors in every cup. So, the next time you enjoy your coffee, remember the long journey it took to get there. From the farms where the beans are grown, to the roasting plant, and finally to the skilled baristas who craft each drink. Every cup of coffee is a product of careful craftsmanship and dedication.